Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about how 1099 income affects unemployment benefits. So one of the things that brings gig workers into the gig economy as a whole is the unfortunate experience of losing a job. Whether that is because you're getting laid off, the company went under, the management is utter bullshit. Sorry, I might be projecting a little trauma there. But the fact remains you may be eligible to receive unemployment benefits from such a life event. However, there are a lot of cases the amount that you would receive just isn't enough. So what do? They look into gig apps, and for better or worse, they enter the gig economy, whether it be a temporary situation or a permanent life choice. But how does 1099 income and unemployment benefits actually work from a tax perspective, and how would that affect your eligibility to receive those benefits? So with that said, we are talking about unemployment benefits, how 1099 income would work with said benefits, and everything in between. But before we do that, let's go over a quick disclaimer. The content of this video does not contain is never intended to be legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. Also, thank you to GigTax for verifying this information and making this video possible. What are unemployment benefits and compensation? Unemployment compensation is a form of monetary assistance provided by the federal and state governments to people who are out of work. These benefits are funded by taxes that are paid by employers at federal and state levels. When do you qualify for unemployment benefits? Generally, this really applies to employees who are laid off or lose their jobs through no fault of their own, typically in order to actually qualify for said unemployment benefits. Gig workers don't have such benefits at this time, but this is how a lot of gig workers end up in the gig economy to begin with. Whether it's because they got laid off, furloughed, etc. They lost their income due to circumstances outside of their control. Taxpayers who want to receive unemployment compensation can apply for benefits through their state programs, and the amount of compensation really depends on the amount of time that they worked, their earnings, and the maximum benefit their state allows, which of course, like many other of my videos, is very market dependent, and what applies to me and where I live may not apply to you. So make sure you do your research and consult with the proper professional to make sure that you're getting what you're entitled to in your state and in your local area, and with your personal situation. How are unemployment benefits taxed? Unemployment benefits are included along with your other income, such as wages, salaries, and bank interest. For the year 2020, the first $10,200 of unemployment income was tax-free for taxpayers with an AGI of less than $150,000, regardless of filing status. And AGI means annual gross income. The total amount of income you receive, including your unemployment benefits and your filing status, determines if you need to file a tax return. State unemployment divisions issue an IRS form 1099-G to each individual who receives unemployment benefits during that year. Typically, you should receive your 1099-G by January 31st. Some states will automatically send the form 1099-G via mail, while others will deliver the form based on the delivery option you've selected. If you've chosen to receive your 1099-G electronically, you can find it within your state's unemployment agency website. How gig work affects your benefits. Before I get too deep into this, I do have to remind you that this is a state-by-state topic, and what applies to where I live may not apply to where you live. However, in a lot of cases, gig workers and freelancers are typically aware of their status as 1099 workers or independent contractors, which disqualifies them from the unemployment benefits that would be applied to a normal W-2 worker. Polyemployment, or working multiple jobs, don't even get me started on the term, can also be disqualifying. Remember, unemployment compensation or reemployment assistance benefits is supposed to provide temporary replacement benefits to qualified individuals who are out of work through no fault of their own. It isn't just free money, like people would normally act as if it is, which is why it's also affected by severance packages, depending on how they're set up, but more on that in a little bit. Now, the CARES Act may still be in effect when you see this video, which gives federal unemployment benefits to millions of gig workers, contractors, and the self-employed. But that only applies to the years 2020 and 2021. So if you're planning on amending your taxes to potentially access those benefits, contact your tax professional and see if you qualify for those benefits. Unemployment insurance and gig workers. Here's the sad truth. There are some serious issues that are particularly relevant when workers supplement their incomes with gig-based work. As we said before, gig workers are freelancers. They're 1099 workers, they're independent contractors that normally disqualifies them from unemployment benefits. Same applies to the poly-employed. Workers who lose their main source of income but stick with a side hustle may be disqualified from benefits because they're still working in the eyes of the state. Roughly 16% of American adults engage in gig work, while nearly 8% hold multiple W-2 jobs, which honestly I think is grossly underestimated, but that's a different topic for a different video. In this economy where one job just doesn't cut it and they have to live this way just to survive, even fewer workers may meet the threshold for being officially unemployed. And as a result, the social safety net of unemployment assistance, which already had a huge number of holes on a not only political level but on an insurance level, is being absolutely shredded. That said, in a lot of areas, that isn't necessarily a lot of money to be made with unemployment insurance and benefits in comparison to gig work and side hustles, but it's up to you on how you want to go about that. How severance pay affects unemployment benefits. As we said earlier, unemployment benefits can be affected by a severance package you receive from your employer, but if the severance pay is given in a lump sum, all at once, it does not affect the end date when it comes to the time frame for the qualification for unemployment insurance. It's also important to know if you do gig work so you can receive the full value of severance pay all at once and then do gig work and make even more money on top of that. Not all employers will offer that upon termination, but one of the things you can do is negotiate your severance package as soon as you're hired. Not too many people know you can do that. The best time to negotiate severance pay is when you or employer don't think you'll need it. When you are being offered the job. It's kind of like a prenup for marriages, a will for death, and insurances of all kinds. Deactivation is not unemployment. I think we beat this point to death, but deactivation of an account like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub is not unemployment, no matter how bad you want it to be. Gig workers, freelancers, poly-employed are disqualified from said unemployment benefits. We are not eligible for the same benefits as an employee would be. So get that out of your head right now. Side gig is the new unemployment. Like I said earlier, it seems like most people are finding more value in having a side gig and earning extra money that way to be a more effective method of earning and preparing for a potential unemployment, especially if your area doesn't really support unemployment as a whole. Remember, this is a state by state thing, and state by state is not need by need. In Florida, where unemployment assistance is named reemployment assistance, the weekly maximum benefit in 2023 is $275 a week for 12 weeks. That's nothing. That's borderline nothing. West Virginia, where cost of living is relatively low, offers up to $662 a week for 26 weeks. But for New York, where cost of living is the highest elsewhere, maxes out at $504 a week for the same duration of time. Keep in mind, 1099G, these aren't taxed yet, so you would still have to pay some of that back. Not to mention, some areas only have unemployment for 6 weeks, and that's it. Forget 12 in Florida, forget 26 in New York and West Virginia, 6. That's it. The fact of the matter is that unemployment benefits are not going to be as valuable as having a side gig or an income that can act as an income bridge to what would be a long-term goal and not the goal. And whether you take the unemployment benefits or work on a side gig or sign up for a gig app, it is important that you file your taxes properly and alongside a tax professional. Also, another thing to keep in mind when you get your 1099s and W-2s and bring them to a tax professional, you can get an upcharge for the extra paperwork, which is why it's important to work with the right tax professional to help you make the right tax moves to save you the most amount of money, and not only filing, but through maximizing your tax benefits as someone who's earning 1099 income in any which way, which is where GigTax is here to help. Filing your taxes promptly and accurately is an inevitable aspect of being in business for yourself, and GigTax is here to help. For every hour spent navigating tax season alone, you miss out on potential earnings, precious moments with loved ones, and expose yourself to financial risk. Recognized as the leading tax preparation service for gig workers, GigTax is dedicated to simplifying the process, saving you time, energy, and money. Founded by Joseph Mayo, a seasoned gig worker with 6,000 deliveries across 6 platforms since 2020 and growing, GigTax addresses the overlooked, overcharged, and underserved needs of gig workers in the financial realm. Driven Wyld subscribers can take advantage of an exclusive 77% discount on GigTax's tax prep, bringing the price from $538 to $124. Act now and get this price locked in, because GigTax helps gig workers just like you all year round. Secure your spot with GigTax using the description link below to register and enter Wyld to maximize your savings and get back to what you're doing best, making the most amount of money in the least amount of time in the safest possible way. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.